welcome back to the Venom Workshop. So today what I'm going to show you how to do is we're going to change the radiator in this X22GT 250. It's not overly difficult to remove the rad, but we are going to have to remove all these side fairings, and it's the only way to do it, to take all this side fairing off here. So that's the only thing that's really going to take a lot of time, is getting this fairing off so we can get to the rad, because it's directly down there. And it's the only way to really take it out is to get those side fairings off. So we're going to get started there. I'm going to grab all the tools I need. I'll get the camera in better position than right where I'm just holding it in my hand here. And we'll get started. So I'll see you momentarily. Alrighty, so we're back. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to remove all these fairings. So this fairing has to come off, 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 this fairing has to come off. This bottom fairing has to come off. The one on the front that holds the side down on there, it has to come off. So we're basically going to strip the fairings off all of here. But to strip the fairings off from there, we have to start back here, work our way up so we can get to the rad, which is right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start just ripping bolts out. Well, not ripping bolts out, but you guys know what I mean. So what you're going to need to use is a number 5. Just drop it on the floor. That one out of the way. Excuse me. So for this one, we're going to need a Phillips screwdriver. Then we're going to go up. There's one right up here, so we might as well just grab it right now. It's the only one that's really up that high. And we'll grab that. Again, keep a dish or something. I've just got a cap there because all my magnetic trays I'm using for other units. But anything I can put bolts and nuts in. If you leave them on the floor, they just get kicked, and then you're looking for bolts all over the place, and it's just a pain in the butt. So this fairing here, we can go ahead and remove. Just pops off like that. We can just pull the tab out. We'll leave it back here, off to the side. If you notice any of these rubber grommets fall out when you're working on it, just put them off to the side, and then we'll figure out the holes. I already know that this is the hole right here that's missing it, so I can go ahead, put it back in, just like that. There we go. And that one's good. So now we can keep going with our fairings. This time we're going to go a little lower, so we can start taking off the bottom ones right here and working my way up. And again, it's just my number 5. Yeah, and we can remove this one right here. Oh, let's angle my camera up a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to move up to the next one, which is up there. So let's up here. Like that, and then down here, right here, and we'll start I just want to keep pulling these all off so we can Like I said, get these fairings out of the way. I'm glad on this bike I only have to remove the one side. I shouldn't have to remove the other one. So if you're wondering where I'm working now, my other bottom one. Okay. Now, the whole bottom fairing there, so this one right down here, I'm going to remove the whole thing just to get it out of my way. It's not hard. Like I said, we've already pulled a lot of those ones out, so all we have to do now is pull this one here. And we're going to straighten out our wheel, and we can pull the one directly in the center. Go. And now we're going to go to the other side, and we'll remove that one too. I might be able to split them apart, but I think I have to take the bottom, yeah. So let's just go to the other side. It's very easy to do it this way, because then we just have to take the bottom ones. So that one, and the whole thing will come off. Oh, I'm sorry, and that one down there. I'm gonna grab that one down there first. Go. And then that one. And then that whole bottom fairing is going to come off. So while I'm doing that, I'm actually going to hold. And there we go. And then I can lift that fairing right out of the way and just move it to the other side. And then we can go back to our right side of the bike, and we can start moving fairings. Now, don't start trying to pull fairings off because it's not done yet. On the back side of this fairing, so right underneath here, there's a Phillips screw right here. And I keep feeling around. There's going to be another Phillips screw right there and right there. So we want to pull those out first. We don't want to break any of these fairings. We want everything to stay really nice. And there's one fairing bolt underneath here too. So I'm going to grab everything I need here, and I shall return. Just give me one moment. Okay, so next I'm going to get the one right under here. It's a number 5. So just use an Allen key. I can't get my driver underneath there. And I think I grabbed a number 4. Of course I did. I want to grab the right Allen key. All right. So you're going to need a number 5, not a number 4. And that's just a regular Allen bolt, just like that. So, there we are. Now, all I have to do is flip that sideways. I should be able to get a stubby screwdriver in here and take off these. And even when you can take the fairing off, you don't want to there we go. There we are. There's one. There's another one right down here. Now, yeah, so what you're going to want to do is remember to unplug your signal light. You can't just tear this whole fairing off just like that. There we go. On you. Right, so there's also another number 5 Allen bolt that we have to take out, and it is right down here. Take that one out, and that just disconnects that there. From there, we're gonna come over here. And right here, there's another one. So you want to take that one off of there. That gives it a little bit of wiggle room. It's not still ready to come out because there's another screw has to come out right here. Right here. Like that. Then you can start moving the fairings around. That pops off of there. You can start pulling it off a bit. Like that. That should pop out of there. There's a little clip in there holding that right now. Oh, there it is. There's a screw I have to take out first. So I'm gonna just leave that right there, and I'm gonna look at it for one sec. Okay, so I'm back down in front of the bike. I forgot to remove that bolt right there. And the reason I want to remove that is so I can get underneath this plastic part. There's one screw right here coming up from the bottom that I want to take off of here. So I'm gonna get the driver. Right, okay, there it is. There we go. There we go. Now I can get underneath there like that. There we go. Now I can take this whole fairing off, just like that. Oh, I forgot to take one screw off way down here on the fairing, so I'm going to take that one out. I missed that one. go. And now I just want to take my plug right here and unplug it. And I can pull my whole fairing off and move it out of the way. Now when we come to our rad, we're going to want to also take our fairing off on the other side of it, like this. We don't have to take all the screws off, but we have to take this one off so the rad can slip out. I'm just going to go to the other side, and we'll take just those two Allen bolts out. And the two I'm talking about is the one right here and the one way down there. And this one right here. There we are. And then we can come back to the side with the rad. Well, the rad's on both sides, but right there. Alrighty, so now I just need to get something to empty my rad in. There is an empty plug on it. It's right underneath. You can just open it and drain it. The drain is on that side, so I'm going to get something to drain that into. I'm probably just going to reuse the liquid in this and refill the rad with it, because there's really nothing wrong with it. So that's what I'm going to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get all that stuff ready right now, and then we can start taking the rad out. Now the fan, we're going to take off as soon as we get the rad off and down a bit, so you don't have to worry about the fan right now. It's like I said, it's going to, once we get it down, we can pull it down a bit, and then we can unplug it too from where the plug is. It's a lot easier to reach if the rad is down. Excuse me. So yeah, let's get started. So I'm going to take this fairing, just put it back here, and I'm going to grab my tool. So I've got my funnel going right here. What I'm going to do is I'm just push it over under the rad a bit, because the plug is right here. I just gotta keep I'm gonna go to the other side. Oh yeah, it's coming out there. On you. There we go. Go. Almost out. There we go. Well, that's draining.
I'm just going to take the top off the rad. Let some air in. It should go down a little bit faster. There we go. There we are. Okay. That should be all the antifreeze that was in the rad. So now, we can go ahead and take it off our rad hose. It was right here. It's just a Phillips screwdriver. Now, if you find it's really stiff, you just wiggle it back and forth and it'll pop off for you. There we go. Now this line, just pull it back and try to hook it in somewhere. There we are. Just like that. And the rad's almost ready to come off. I'm going to go ahead and take my top line off too for my overflow. Just like that. Then we can get our 10 mil. Take off our little bolts that are holding the rod in place. I'm just going to loosen it. There's 4. There's 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. And the 2 on the bottom I'm going to go ahead and take right out, and the 2 on the top I'm just going to loosen. And then once the rad drops down, I'll take off my top pipe from over here. So right now, I'm just taking off the 2 bottom ones. Okay, so I just have to loosen the other one on the other side. On the top. Then we can take the rad down. And just before we take that down, you'll notice right inside here, there's a couple of wires. They have to unplug off the temperature sensor. And now we can go ahead and we can finish taking our bolts out on the top, and we can drop that down. And then our rad should fall down a bit, just like that. Then we can reach up, grab our wire for our fan. And we're gonna look at the tabs so I can see. Just way to push the pin on it. There we go. And then all we have to do is take off our top coolant line. And I want a little longer screwdriver for that. Okay. Slip that back, give it a couple of twists, and we'll pull that off. There we go. And that's it. So here's our rad, right here. Now when you get your rad, it's probably not gonna have the fan on it. But again, taking that off is, we just have to take off these 10 mils. All these are 8 mils, so I'm gonna grab an 8 mil socket because nothing ever goes to exactly what it's supposed to. So I'm gonna grab some 8 mil, and you have to take off this 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that's it. So I'm gonna get 8 mil, and I'll be right back. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna remove this fan. And that's it. Now, when you get your new rad, it's not gonna have these clips on it either, so you're gonna wanna save these clips. So pulling them off is easy. Putting them back on, just give them a tiny little squeeze like that, so when you do put them back on, that they stay. I squeeze that one a little tiny too much. There we go. There we go. And just like that. So you're going to want to do that. You're going to want to pull all these 4 off your old rad, and like I said, give them a tiny squeeze, and then when you put them back on, they'll stay on. So just like that. So all 4. Now, when you're putting your fan back on, you want to make sure that the wire is right down right here. And we're just going to put our fan back on. We're going to take all our 8 mils. Like that. Okay. And last one right there. Then I can go ahead and tighten them all up. And yeah, this is something you want to remember to tighten, because there's nothing like if you want to get that all back on your bike and then you have to take everything apart again, so you can, so we'll make sure those are nice and tight. There we go. So that's the way the rad's going to be. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my plug back in while it's off the unit. There we go. It's nice and tight again. Now to put it back on, we're gonna flip it over just like that. So that's the way it goes back on. And then I'm gonna help you get it back on. Now, I'm just gonna put it down for a sec, because there is something that goes back on with this. It's this bracket. You gotta remember, this bracket's gotta go on the rad as well when this goes on, and it goes on like that. Just like that. So when you put it on, it has the bracket there, so you can go ahead and bolt your fairing to. So I dropped one of my bolts. I'm gonna go to the other side and I'm gonna grab it and we'll put it on. So we're just gonna set our little apparatus there to hold the fairing in place aside, because we have to put our hose on first. So we can slip our rad in. And we can go ahead and put the hose on this side. And we can tighten up the hose clamp. Oops. Okay. Now we can go ahead and we want to pull this wire inside. And the rad's going to slip up and over a bit. Now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and plug in my fan. There it is. But I want to plug in my fan first, so I'm going to just put that there. So I can get my fingers up to the plug. Okay, and we're going to plug that in. There we go. Push it in until you hear the click. And then once you get your rad lifted, you can put your sensor wires back on, the green and the yellow. Okay, they're both on now. And then we just want to hold that in place like that. And remember, our bracket has the 2 bolts. Oops. So I'm just going to finger tighten that one in. And then I have to look for the one I just dropped, because I always have to drop one. There it is. There we go. Oops, of course I dropped it again. But that goes on the inside of that fairing. You want to make sure it goes on there. There we go. I just want to tighten it in a little tiny bit. There we go. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put my 2 in from the bottom. And you see, it wasn't going in there. I had to lift the rad a little bit to make it go in. That's why I don't go ahead and just start tightening bolts down before all 4 bolts are in. Because if you do that, you're just asking for problems. So now we can go ahead and tighten up all 4 of those. Almost done. There we go. Okay, so those are nice and tightened in. Now what we're going to want to do, we can put our overflow tube back on. Okay, now we can hook up our bottom hose too. Now you're going to want to look down the hose to find your hose clamp. There we go. Like that. There we go. Now we're going to fill our rad up. Now, when we fill our rad up, it's a lot easier to do, obviously, when the fairing is not in the way. Now, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be filling this rad, but we're not filling the overflow tank. The overflow tank should only have maybe an inch of coolant in it. And all that is for is if the rad has to blow off a bit of pressure, it'll flow into this tank. It also, if the rad ever needs a little bit of liquid, it will pull from this tank. So if this tank is full and it has nowhere to vent off the pressure, what will happen is it's just going to come out right out the top of this tank right here. It's going to come right out of the top of this. As soon as this rad gets good and hot, and that liquid has nowhere to go or nowhere to be sucked from, because there's so much pressure, that's what's going to happen. It's going to leak. So this tank right here, the overflow tank, should only have about an inch. And right now the bike's on an angle, that's why it doesn't look like it has any, but I can see it all the way in the back of the tank. So it's going to come to about here, and that's normal. That's just as high as you want it. You don't want this overflow tank to be full. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to fill our rad here. And usually you can't get a funnel in here like this, but because the fairing's off, it's all really nice. We can go ahead and pour some in. And just pour it in slow. You don't have to pour it in so it all spills out. There we go. And that's going to bubble down a bit. So I'm going to give that a minute. What I mean bubble down a bit is all of that liquid that I just put in there is going to start going down through here. And you could pump that line too and make sure there's no air in there. Because you want some liquid to go back down into the engine, just like that. So it's still staying right up the top here, so it's pretty full. So I can go ahead and put my cap on. And then I am going to clean up. You don't want to leave antifreeze laying around. If a dog or cat comes by and licks that, it's instant death. You don't want to leave that laying around. So get a rag, wipe it up real well. You don't, like I said,
it's a little poison, but the thing is it tastes very sweet. So any animal that's walking by, I'm in the shop here, obviously we don't have any animals in here, but any animal walking by that licks that is not going to survive it. It's going to go after their eyesight, and then it's going to go after their kidneys. So you want to be very, 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 very careful cleaning up antifreeze. Don't just leave antifreeze laying around. It's dangerous. It's very, very dangerous stuff. So I'm going to get a rag, I'm going to clean that all up, and then I'm going to come right back, and we're going to start putting the fairings back on. The reason I'm going to clean that up now is because I don't want to be tracking it all over the place, and that's what's going to happen. The more I step around there, I'm going to just keep dragging it around, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to get a rag, we're going to clean that little mess up, and I'll be back. Okay, so something I'm going to go ahead and do is I can go ahead and put this fairing here back on, and it just goes right here. And it's our number 5 Allen bolts. Here. And now I just have to put one on the other side. It's the exact same place. I don't need to do that on camera, and then we'll just keep going. We'll put our fairing back on, and I did look for leaks. I don't see any leaks. My rad is full, and I don't see even any dropping anywhere, so I know everything is nice and tight. I don't have to worry about the leaks. That's something you want to check after you get your rad in there and filled. Just keep an eye on it for a few minutes before you put the fairing back on, just to make sure there's no leaking. Alrighty, so now we can go ahead and get our fairing put back in place. Now, when I put this fairing in, that front screw is the most important. I've got to get it on first. So right up at the front here. Right under here, I'm going to want to get that screw in place first. And that's like a mega important one, because if you forget it, it's all the way underneath there, and you have to take everything back apart to do it again. So we're just going to put it like that. We're going to grab our fairing. Now before we put that screw in, you got to remember to plug your signal light wire in. And our signal light wire, I can see it's right there. Goes like that, so I'm going to want to put it in and plug it in. Then it should be a blue and an orange, plugging into a blue and an orange. Oh, not on this side. This one has blue and black, so this, oh no, that's orange. No. What is that one? I just want to make sure I get the right plug. So we'll go ahead and plug it back in. That. The battery's dead on this. But before I go any farther, I do want to test that. I want to make sure that I've got it plugged into the right place. So I'm just going to grab a quick booster pack and make sure that signal light's working, and then I'll get the fairing back on. There you go. I've got booster pack hooked up to it, and you see it's just flipping no problem here. That's exactly what I wanted. So now, like I said, we can go ahead and put the fairing back on, and I can take my booster pack off, but I just wanted to make sure that that signal light worked before I go ahead and put everything back together and then not work. So that's working fine. I can pull that off of here and put that there. Now, like I said, I'm going to put our screw back in.
and it goes in first. And it goes in from the bottom, if you remember, up like that. But I think it's a smaller screw, if I'm not mistaken. Or is it this big? No, it's one of those. This is it. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead, and all you have to do is match up your clips from right here and here. There we go. And I can put this in there like that, and then I can put my screw up from the bottom. And then we can put this part back up. But we want to get this screw in first. There we go. That's in. And now this can all snap back up into place. And there is little snaps that hold it. You just gotta feel along, and you'll feel them. There you go. And then we have to put all our screws in along here. There we go. So I'm gonna grab my little screws, and I'm gonna put my screws in all along down here. There's one right there already. I'm pretty sure it's in the right place. Yeah. Where? Go. Go. All right, so that one's in. So now there's just the rest of them. There's one here, another one here. So we're gonna get all our little screws. And the ones on the inside are a little bit tinier screws. So you'll notice that there's two smaller screws that you have right here. They're a little bit smaller than the other ones. They're the other two that go here. There's one right there. Right there. Like I said, these are the smaller ones. Right, there we go. There we go. Nice. So now we can go ahead and start putting all our 5 mils in. There's the 5 mil Allen key that goes underneath there. I want to make sure you get that one in. So I'm going to start with my fingers, and I actually have to use an Allen key, I think, to tighten that one. Oh no, if the wheel turned, I don't have to. I think it might be enough room. Yeah, look at that. So we got to tighten that up. Like that. Yep, perfect. So now we just have to finish putting our top bolts in on this side, and then finish the little bit of fairings we have to put back on, and that's it, guys. We'll be done. So let's keep on trucking here. The camera right. There you go. Okay, so next I'm going to put in the screw up here to hold the fairing right there. Just need one of them Phillips screws to go in there. Need a screwdriver. And that'll hold your fairing in place then. So we can go ahead and get our bolts back in. There's a bolt here, and a bolt down there. There's a lot of bolts. So we're going to go ahead and put those bolts in first. We want to make sure we get all the inside bolts. So one of the inside bolts that's inside a fairing is this one right here. So go ahead and get that one in. Right there. And then the next one inside is this one right here. And the reason I call them inside bolts is because they're inside a fairing before you put the other fairing on top, and you want to make sure to put all those bolts in. So now we can also put this one down here in, right down here, this bolt right here. There we go. And we can actually put this one in right here too. We're just going to put that one in. And that one works too. Just like that. And now all we have to do is put these side fairings on. These are the easy ones. So we're going to put this one on first. And I'm talking about this one right here. And we're going to go up with our camera so you can see. There we go. Now, this one has some tabs. That tab, and that tab all go on these little rubber grommets. So we start up at the top. And there's a little tab right here. You want to make sure it clips inside this right here, like this. And make sure the tab should line up with the little rubber grommet, and down it goes. And then we can line up these ones with the little rubber grommets, right here and here. Just like that. Perfect. Excellent. Now we can put our bolt in here. Go. And then there's a bolt that goes in right here. And again, that's an inside fairing, so you want to make sure and get that bolt on before you there we go. You want to make sure and get this fairing on before you go try to put on another fairing that goes on top of that. So we'll put it in there like that. And there's this fairing. It goes in and clips underneath there like that. And then there's a Phillips screw goes in there, but I'm going to put the bolt in first down at the bottom. And then I can put the screw in after. And so that goes. There it is. Fairings on. Now you'll notice I had one grommet fell out, I had to see where it went. It goes right up in here. So I'm just gonna push it in with my thumb. If you have a hard time, use a screwdriver to assist you. Make sure the hole is open. Boop. And this fairing right here, it all has tab, 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 tab. So they slip into those rubber grommets again. Start the back, work my way up. There we go. Another bolt in here. There we go. And then we have one more thing left to do. We just have to put on the bottom fairing. So the bottom fairing is the one that was on right down there at the bottom. We took it off all in one piece, if you remember. So we're gonna grab it. There we go. And this is it right here. So like the way I like to do it is I install the front one first, and then I can work my way back, because you want to make sure that you put the fairings, all the clips and everything go in like that, and it slips up inside. You want to make sure that those are all good. Okay. So I'm just going to get a bolt started in here. There you go. There you go. I'm just putting that in finger tight just to hold it in place. And I can come back, I can make sure it's still clipped in on this side right here. Like that. Then I'm going to go to the other side and I'm going to do the same, and I'll break back. And the reason I'm doing that before I put the front one is because this one kind of waves, and I'll show you how to put that one back on. So I'm going to go do the other side, put just these two in. That's it. On the other side, and I'll break back. Now we're going to go ahead and put that front one back on. Now, but to do that, we're going to want to shove it forward like that, so we can get it started like that. Because you have to push it in from the bottom. And that one, once you get it there, you can go ahead and tighten all the bottom ones up. Okay, that one's tight. Let me tighten this one. Right there. Then we come back, tighten, oops, this one. That. And now there's only one left to put on this side, and that's right here. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to put it back on just like that. And that's it, guys. Then you just have to do the exact same thing on the other side. I'm going to go do that. I don't have to show you, I just literally did it on this side, and it's going to be the exact same. So I'm going to go to the other side, I'm going to put that on, and that's it, guys. That's how you change the rad on your X22 GT 250.